Over the millennia, civilizations have risen and died beside the fertile marshlands of Mesopotamia. They're said to be the site of the Garden of Eden and the birthplace of Abraham and Noah. Those who lived here developed trade, writing and farming, and harvested the reeds for their shelter and fuel. Their hospitality was celebrated, and still is.
Hello.
Rahim Menshad is a farmer. From his home on the edge of the marshlands, he's witnessed the unspeakable suffering of his neighbours, the Marsh Arabs, at the hand of Saddam Hussein.
حاولنا وإيران وإجا احتقالها ولحد الآن ما حد طاح بها. هذا الوضع اللي سواه ويانا صدام حسين. وانتم شوفوا انتم مدمر البلد. يعني احنا خلانا عايشين 35 سنة بخوف برعب. يعني ما نأمن نطلع للشارع. هذا وضع صدام حسين.
These derelict houses litter the southern marshlands of Iraq, a legacy of the Saddam era. The villages were destroyed, many of them bombed, their occupants either killed or fleeing for safety. In the early 1990s, researchers estimated that the Marsh Arab population numbered about 250,000. Today, there are less than 40,000. The marshes were unspoiled wetlands sitting on top of known oil reserves. But by draining most of their water and expelling the Marsh Arabs, pristine wetlands were turned to scorched earth. The United Nations called it one of the world's greatest environmental disasters.
From the perspective of the engineering point of view, it's an incredible feat. I cannot but help admire the engineering skills needed. But of course, in this instance, it was done for the worst crime of the century, worst environmental crime of the century, not to speak anything about the humanitarian aspect of this.
Lal and Sinnaf are the two branches.
The son of an Iraqi district engineer, Dr. Azzam Olwash often visited the marshes as a child 30 years ago. He remembers a paradise, sanctuary for dozens of species of fish and migratory birds. Extraordinary beauty, where nature and humans lived in harmony. The Marsh Arabs, or Mandan, lived in a vast world. They built their homes on islands of compressed reeds, and for food relied on fishing and the milk from their buffaloes. But life changed when the marshlands became embroiled in Saddam's battles with his neighbours. Coalition forces drove him back into Iraq before the long-oppressed Shiites, which include the Marsh Arabs, rebelled against him and his Baathists. The uprising was ruthlessly crushed. The marshes drained and thousands of Marsh Arabs were killed or imprisoned.
صدام حسين يجب أن يعاقب قتل الحيوان، قتل الثروة، قتل الحياة في هذا الغابات الجميلة.
Kadhim Anazun is known as Sheikh of the Marshes. He heads the political wing of the Marsh Fighters Association, a militia that was armed and funded by a leading Shiite party with a mission to topple Saddam Hussein. Now the fight is over, Sheikh Kadhim's focus is the welfare of the Madan. Since Saddam's fall, many have emerged from hiding or banishment and returned to the marshes.
السلام عليكم. عليكم. الله يسعدك حجينا. شلون أحوالك؟ يا مرحبا بالعام. الأكل، الغذاء، العلاج، الدواء. أنت ظهرنا وأنتم. لا العفو حجي.
Reversing Saddam's destruction requires international help. A task force with experts from North America, Europe, the Middle East and Australia is currently surveying the terrain. Hundreds of millions of dollars are pledged for rehabilitation. But after years of abuse, the dilemma is whether the marshes can or ever should be reflooded.
Yeah, I'm a lonely voice in the wilderness. appeal.
Azzam Olwash left Iraq for America 23 years ago.
This whole area is now flooded.
His project, Eden Again, is one of several rehabilitation schemes.
Well, now it's this whole thing is water.
An international master plan is due by the end of the year.
Reflooding the marshes, it's as easy as destroying small embankments, disabling pumps. But we know for a fact today that there is not enough water to completely restore the marshes. Flooding the marshes and restoring are not necessarily one and the same. You need to try to allow nature to reclaim the area, prevent invasive species from taking place. So it's a very complex question to answer. It's not simple. It's not as simple as turning the tap on.
For Dr. Olwash, regenerating the marshes is more than a dream. It's his life's mission.
If you've ever been in the marsh the way it was, you'd know that it's a temple to God, it's a temple to nature.
It's the only place where I feel peaceful in Iraq.
You achieve harmony. What can I tell you? I want that feeling back. More importantly, I want my children to feel that too.
Reinventing the past isn't going to be easy. Life on the marshes isn't what it used to be. Fresh water has to be brought in on roads which become impassable after rain. Some of the dry beds are again filled with water, but after years of desiccation, it's brackish and there are hardly any fish. In this village, there's no electricity, no shops and no schools. Kids and animals grow up together, oblivious of the world around them.
نصف مليون إنسان كانوا يسترزقون من الأهوار. الآن هذا العدد الهائل كله بدون عمل. وتشوف انتم مريتوا على مناطق وشفتوا الأكواخ مال الطين والبيوت البسيطة بكل مكان. هاي الناس تعبانة، حتى مورد أكل وشرب ما عته.
ما تجيب السيارة اليوم.
19-year-old Hannah Ghanem and her 12-year-old brother Shamil collect reeds to feed the livestock. Though the nearest village is a few kilometres away, they've never been to school. Their mother Hosnia explains how she feeds 14 mouths, bread made from government flour rations, eggs from the chickens, and fresh milk from the cow.
ظلت الأطفال كلها بلا مدرسة. هسه نروح المستشفى ما عرف الرقم شنو. هاي احنا هسه 3 نسوان 4 احنا بناتي كل احنا بعضها هاي وحده. شنو هاي؟ عيشة هي؟ ما عيشة.
Hosnia makes brushes out of palm fronds. Yesterday she sold 20 of them for $1. She's heard of schemes to re-flood the marshes, but she doesn't understand how that can make a difference to her family.
ما يفيدنا. تفيد الماش يفيدنا. لا احنا عيشة ماكو بعد بين نروح. محتاجين المروحة، محتاجين المجمدة، محتاجين الثلاجة، محتاجين الأكل والشرب، محتاجين الملابس كلها غالية، محتاجين الفرش غالية، كلش محتاجين. كله ما متوفر هسه احنا بالبيت. ناس يعني أضعاف كلش فقرة. كلش.
Sheikh Khadam makes a fact-finding visit to the small village of Kreda in the Hamar Marsh. It's home to the Sharabna tribe. Sheikh Khadam wants to raise the Madan standard of living. Word gets around that an esteemed visitor has arrived. The Sheikh is anxious for the international millions to improve the lives of the Marsh Arabs, but he doesn't trust the Iraqi government's involvement.
إذا تريد تجي مساعدات أو تسولف لنا ويا الجهات الرسمية اللي باستراليا وبغير دول من تجي مساعدات خل تجي عن طريقنا لأنه هاي الناس اللي بالأهوار ناس تعبانة وإحنا اللي نوزع لأنه من تجي عن طريق الدولة تسرق أو تروح بغير طريقة ثابتة.
Abdul Bari is a village elder. He's witnessed the decline of his people over the past 20 years.
لا عندنا إمكانية نبني حواش. شنو الإمكانية؟ كهرباء لا عندنا، ماي لا عندنا يتواجد، ولا عندنا الآلة تمشي. الآلة شنو هي؟ لا شارع مريح. مثل أنت من تيجي بالشارع كنت ترتاح لي، فالشارع هذا من تمشي عليه أنت ترتاح له؟ ما ترتاح له. فبهالحالة هاي ما حد ولا إنسان جانا جاوبنا مثلك.
Abdul Bari isn't concerned with scientific schemes to restore the marshlands. His only thoughts are for the survival of the next generation.
احنا لو نرجع للمدينة ونشوف لنا مكان اللي يساوي فيه اللي يفيد أطفالنا ويفيد شبابنا. شنو شبابنا؟ اللي يفيد شبابنا أول يشتغل بدائرة والدائرة نظيف ومرتاح. الثانية طفلنا يشتغل بالمدرسة ويدرس. شلون انت هسه تفهم احسن من عدي ودارس فهذاك يفهم احسن من عدي فاحنا تاخرنا وهم اطفالنا تتاخر فهذا اللي نقصد عليه ونحكي عليه.
Inside the tribal meeting house, conversation turns to the needs of the Marsh Arabs. The visiting sheikh of the marshes is confronted with a new problem: armed conflict among the different marsh tribes.
زين انتم الان عندكم اسلحه تكفي وشنو نوع اسلحتكم؟ اي
اسلحتنا عندنا يعني
BKC قاذفه
كله موجود
يا خوال والله ونعم
كله موجود
بالعكس اول ما
After years of neglect and abuse by governments, the villagers describe a debilitating feud with their neighbours, the Garamsha tribe.
هاي مهمه انا متكفلها ومسوي بها جدول صالح صاحب.
Over the years, there have been tit-for-tat murders. The blood feud has made the isolated Sharabna people suspicious and fearful.
هذا رجل إعلامي
Despite the presence of an esteemed visitor, the elders, including Abdul Bari, can't hide their frustration.
احنا تشوف هاي الحالة هسه المكان اللي عندنا حالة طبيعية.
الاولاد البر
ما يعيش هذا البيت مال واحد
عدير على واحد حاطه نايلون.
كل هالناس
صاحت البيت طلع.
فاحنا نريد المطلوب اللي عليه كام.
احنا عمي مرخص مظلومين صار 12 سنة.
صحيح.
قل لي من؟ من مستشفى، من مدرسة، من دكتور.
يريد مال المضيف وين يحصل؟
ما عندنا ماي.
By the time Sheikh Kadham departs Kreda village, he's promised the marsh dwellers a resolution to their feud, as well as funds and untold comforts. There are no guarantees that the fish will return, even if the water does, and that their hungry bellies can be filled. Far upstream on the banks of the Tigris River, Dr. Azzam Ulwash outlines his vision to modernise the marshes.
We really need to provide them with potable water, electricity, and sewage treatment. I dream of having a computer inside each one of those huts. Can you imagine the kids playing and talking to somebody in America or Australia? And it'll happen.
So they'll have the internet, electricity and roads, but they'll still be in this pristine marshland environment.
That's my hope. That's my dream.
That sounds like a bit of a pipe dream, doesn't it?
Well, come back in 5 years. Let's see.
A familiar shape appears on the river, a lone canoe known as a mashuf, more commonly found hundreds of kilometers away in the marshes.
من وين انتوا يا اخوان؟ دا اشوفك دا تدفع البلم كأنك من اهل الشبايش لو من الاهوار. من وين؟ من الاهوار؟ انت من نهر العز.
Azzam Ulwash's hunch is correct. The men are former marsh dwellers, forced to leave to earn a living.
صح.
Are you amazed to see Marsh Arabs in Baghdad?
I mean, the minute I saw the guy polling, I told you he's from the marshes. This is just, I mean, it's great, but it's also a testament to how sad the last 10 years have been. I mean, people having to leave their relatives, coming out, I don't know, 700 kilometers away. I don't know. I don't even know the distance, less than that. But just trying to make their living, just, nah. Anyway, there's hope. There's hope.
With outside help, the Madan may recover from their catastrophe, though today they are amongst Iraq's most impoverished. To Saddam Hussein, they were rebels and outcasts to be destroyed. Now, modernization could be just a few years away. And for the second time in a generation, upheaval is coming to the marshes.